Elephants and humans had always lived peacefully together in a small rural village in India. But when one mother elephant began acting strangely, the local people realized something was wrong. She looked upset, even crying, as if pleading for help. Curious and concerned, they decided to follow her into the wilderness. What they soon uncovered was so shocking that it left many just as distressed and frightened as the elephant. In the small village of Nimatund, elephants were a familiar sight. Nestled deep in elephant territory, the village had long learned to coexist with these majestic creatures. Seeing one strolling down the road or grazing by a nearby tree was as normal to them as spotting cats or dogs would be in Western countries. The villagers did their best to leave the elephants alone. They understood they were guests in the elephants' homeland, and out of respect, they tried not to interfere. The elephants, in turn, seemed to accept the humans' presence. They were intelligent and emotionally aware animals, and they understood how to live in harmony, most of the time. But one day, something unusual happened. A female elephant appeared in the middle of the road, leading out of the village. She was loud, restless, and clearly trying to get the villagers' attention. She swung her trunk around wildly and even swatted at people who attempted to pass. Her massive feet pounded the ground in frustration. Villagers had never seen anything like this before, so their curiosity was instantly sparked. As more people gathered, they began to notice something truly unusual, something that filled their hearts with emotion. The elephant had tears in her eyes, and the damp streaks on her face showed she had been crying for quite some time. It was obvious she was in deep emotional distress, though no one could tell why. They didn't know how to help or what could even be done. Thankfully, the elephant seemed to know what she was doing. Once a small crowd had formed, she lifted her trunk as if urging the people to follow her. Then she turned and headed into the wilderness, looking back every few minutes to make sure the group was still behind her. And they were. Everyone was too concerned about what had upset this poor mother elephant to simply walk away. If there was a chance they could help, they were ready to try, as a way of giving back to the elephants who had always let them share their home. Before long, the elephant led them into a clearing with a large well that helped keep the land irrigated. Normally, it was covered by a hatch, but today the hatch was gone. The elephant walked over and stood beside the well, staring down into it. What the villagers saw next shocked them and made them almost as emotional as the mother elephant. Deep down in the hole was a baby elephant. It was clearly her calf. The young elephant had somehow fallen into the well and was now trapped. Thankfully, the water was shallow enough that the baby could keep his trunk above the surface to breathe. But without help, he wouldn't survive down there. The villagers didn't waste a moment. Several men ran back to the village to call the animal rescue team. It wasn't long before trained experts arrived with machinery and enough hands to begin the rescue operation. The team quickly decided the best option was to use an excavator to dig a sloped path into the well, giving the baby a way to climb out. But there was one big problem. A major storm was approaching. Forecasters warned of intense rainfall, and if the storm hit with full force, it could cause flash floods. Not only would that make the rescue harder, but it could raise the water level in the well. If it rose even just a couple of feet, or about 50 centimeters, the baby elephant might not be able to breathe. He could drown. The rescuers knew they had to act fast. Failure was not an option. They got to work as quickly as possible, digging by hand and using whatever basic tools they had, anything to make a start until the excavator arrived. Progress was slow, though, and just as the vehicle carrying the excavator pulled up, the sound of distant thunder echoed across the sky. All the while, the mother elephant paced back and forth anxiously, watching the team work and keeping a close eye on her trapped calf. As the digging continued, a veterinarian carefully examined the baby elephant at the bottom of the well. She noticed several cuts and scrapes on its body from the fall and worried about the risk of infection. She managed to pour antiseptic cream onto the wounds. It surely stung, but the baby elephant still lifted its trunk as if to thank her for the help. Luckily, the injuries weren't too serious. Things could have been far worse if the young elephant had landed differently. As the excavator began digging, the vibrations caused several bricks from the top edge of the well to come loose. They tumbled down toward the calf, but the clever little elephant kept shifting its body to avoid being hit. The workers rushed to remove any more loose bricks, knowing that if any struck the calf, they could cause serious harm. Then, without warning, the sky opened up and the rain began to pour. It was heavy, heavier than anything they had seen in a long, long time. But the downpour only added urgency to the rescue effort, pushing the team to work even harder. The rescuers kept digging, but the once dry, dusty ground quickly turned into thick mud that clung to their boots and coated the tracks of the excavator. If the machine stopped now, the rescue would be over. Thankfully, it kept going. The mission wasn't finished yet. After an hour of intense digging, the team had finally carved a channel leading down to the bottom of the well. Now, the only thing left was to break through the brick wall so the baby elephant could walk to freedom. The excavator backed away, and the rescuers climbed down and began hammering at the wall, chipping away at the bricks bit by bit. It was tough work, but soon large cracks began to appear. Sensing that her baby's release was near, the mother elephant came down the embankment and tried to help. She leaned her weight against the wall, pushing with all her strength to break it down. Then, with a thunderous crash, the wall gave way, revealing her calf. The baby elephant was finally free. But the danger wasn't over just yet. While the mother had managed to climb the muddy slope with little trouble, her calf struggled. The dirt was slick, and his small legs kept slipping. The rain made the climb even more difficult. It took 5 strong rescuers working together to guide and push the baby up the embankment. At last, he reached level ground and immediately ran to his mother. She wrapped her trunk around him and let out a joyful noise. Her relief was unmistakable. The vet quickly checked the calf over and gave him some medicine to ease any aches or soreness. Other than being shaken and scratched, he was perfectly fine. The rescuers cheered, watching the mother and her baby turn and slowly make their way into the rain and back into the wild. But before they disappeared into the trees, the mother turned and looked at each of the humans, her eyes meeting theirs, as if to say thank you. And if the rain hadn't been falling so hard, they would have seen the rescuers were crying too. Tears of happiness and relief. They had saved the baby's life, and the mother would never forget it. From time to time, the mother and her calf returned to the village. They never caused harm. They simply stood nearby, watching the world go by. No one knew for sure, but many believed they were there to show their gratitude, to thank the people of Nimatund for what they did that day. So now it's over to you. What did you think of this incredible story? How would you have reacted if you'd seen the mother elephant so upset? And what would you have done if you'd found the trapped baby? As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts, so don't forget to leave a comment below.